Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are going to talk about the first day in pads. It was day 6 at training camp. Lots of violence going on with the hitting that'll be there. We'll break down all things. The offense did win 7 shots, but the defense won a lot more. Payton Wilson looking really sharp. We'll talk about all that here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter here with Nick Farabaugh today. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things in the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find the show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. And as I said before, we're joined by the man himself, Nick Farabaugh. He's back in the building. We love having Nick Farabaugh on from PennLive.com. Nick, the pads were a pumping on Wednesday. It's Thursday today with our episode here. I thought it was interesting to see the offense win 7 shots, and then basically the defense said, okay, but we're going to win the war. And I felt like the defense had a lot to say throughout practice.
Dude, the defense was chirpy when Payton Wilson was like, get over that way, and Kenny Gainwell in backs on backers. I thought the linebackers came out today and were like, we're going to show you something. Like, it was that unit specifically that came out hitting. Mark Robinson was like a human missile all day. He had like 4 or 5 just pops. He like forklifted Evan Hall into the dirt. I think his imprint is still there in the end zone on field 1. I truly do. Like Patrick Queen was flying around, buzzing around. They were doing double A-gap mugs. Maybe that's the first time that's why, because they were showing blitzes with the inside backers today, so they were able to kind of fly in. But, man, these inside linebackers, physical. I thought that the wide receivers and DBs had a really good, like, back-and-forth physicality to them. The wide receivers got after it blocking, and Joey Porter Jr. really brought it in the physicality department today. I think he had 3 stops in the first team run period. I mean, that's awesome. And he had 2 PBUs in the other team periods. He had a great day. I think quietly putting together a fantastic training camp, to be quite honest with you. So lots of good things today. The pads were popping. It feels good. And I felt a lot more pent-up energy from, the storms yesterday, delaying it to now. I think that also brought some intensity out about it.
I certainly agree with you. Joey Porter Jr., I keep saying it, he's having some of the best practices at training camp. Like, this is supposed to be his stepping up year. In the practices, he's stepping up. He's taking away top guys. He's matching up with D.K. Metcalf and taking him away. He's lining up wherever you want him, and I think he's been very sharp. Jalen Ramsey certainly has helped with that with his addition there. Payton Wilson, to your point, and backs on backers. I thought the defense kind of won a lot in backs on backers. Payton Wilson, like you said, owned Kenny Gainwell. And that's not to say Kenneth Gainwell, because he even said Kenneth Gainwell's going to get him back at some point with the get to the passing part of backs on backers. But when it comes to the pass blocking part, the first rep he won, the second rep he kind of won. It was more of a draw. Kenneth Gainwell wanted a rubber match, and then Payton Wilson just straight up Olayed him. And then, like you said, as soon as it was done, he was like, get to the back of the line. He pointed right to him. That was pretty intense. Another intense moment, I thought, in 7-on-7s, Calvin Austin catches a pass over the middle. Used some good route running to get loose from Jalen Ramsey. When he gets up, he pushes Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey starts barking at him. He starts barking back, and it's like, I'd say they were face-to-face, but it was more like they were face-to-neck because Jalen Ramsey's, 6'2" or whatever, and Calvin Austin's like 5'8". But it was still really good to see Calvin Austin being tough, being physical, but also being technical and giving it back to Jalen Ramsey, who is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL.
Listen, Calvin Austin's little, but he's a little dog that bites very much. He's got bite to him. He's a nice guy off the field, but when he's out there, he's like, man, he'll go after you. So that's something I like about Calvin's game. I'd watch the O-line, D-line one-on-ones instead of watching a 7-on-7. Those got pretty physical too. I'll say this, man. That's where the offense actually won today. Like the
okay, give me a breakdown. I didn't get to see that today.
Yeah, the tackles specifically looked good. Troy Fautanu stood up Watt twice. Calvin Anderson Calvin Anderson, by my count, went 4 for 4 against Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig. I thought that was really encouraging. Dylan Cook had good reps against Jack Sawyer. Like, there were lots of good signs there. Harmon and McCormick split 1-1. Benton and Frazier split 1-1. Like, it was a really good back and forth over there. And I thought the physicality kind of popped through more there than it did in team run. I thought the DBs and the linebackers brought it more than the Hogs did, actually, in some of those team run periods. And so it was good to see some of that. And today, the other thing I really just was looking for was just who was willing to kind of get their nose dirty. And something I noticed today was Roman Wilson. This is really the first time we've seen Roman Wilson in an extended padded practice. Remember, the first time he took a jet sweep last year in a padded practice, he suffered a high ankle sprain, and he missed the rest of camp. And so he was going out there, and, they were kind of motioning him inside and even lining him up sometimes in between the tight end and the tackle, or the tackle and the guard, and he would run through there and insert himself. That guy's a willing blocker. Like, I like that from Roman Wilson. I like the attitude. Bobby Trees, I knew he was a willing blocker. He was after it today. So just good signs there from the wide receiver room. I like that the wide receiver room is willing to do dirty work. I do like that. I know it's something Zach Azzani obviously puts out there. Even DK was getting after it in the blocking drills. So this wide receiver room does like to block, and I think that's obviously huge for Arthur Smith's system.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be really big for the Steelers this year. I will say, I thought the offensive line in the team drills had a rough time, but I did think that if there was a person that stood out among them, it was Troy Fautanu. There were 2 long runs that Jalen Warren broke off against the first team defense, and they were both off tackle on Fautanu's side. And so and he even said, like, I asked him, like, how did you feel about your day? He's like, I didn't feel like I did well. And that's kind of crazy. This man Stonewall, TJ Watt, the 2 best runs came off of him, and he's still like, not enough. That's the attitude that you want to see, though. So I think that's good signs from him. But I mean, and we'll get to the linebackers later, but I still felt like the defense, when it was 11 on 11, the defense was winning the day. Like they were collapsing the line of scrimmage. And we're going to talk more about the offense in the next segment. But I think this is part of the advantages the defense gets when you are a unit with a lot of people who know how to play together. With the people that are being added can just be insert, plug and play. The offense is got to find its whole mojo right now. And it's obvious when you see these 2 units interact in their early practices.
It really is. The defense just fluid, not a lot of coverage busts. Really communicating this year. The communication kind of system way different. They're yelling at each other. They're pointing at each other. They're getting on each other. It's I think it's made a difference there. Communication has been a big thing for them. And you talk about the offense too. It's not just, for them, it's not just learning the playbook too. It's learning each other. It's learning chemistry. There's so many different things. The O-line's the most cohesive part of that group, and they have 2 guys out right now. So there's a lot going on offensively that isn't going on defensively. The defense has all 11 starters right now. No one's hurt on that unit. So they are kind of feeling themselves, I think. You can just see in the secondary specifically the confidence oozing off those guys. You can see Thornhill, who's just chirps at guys every single day, and he's had a nice start to camp. And honestly, Chuck Clark has been a nice little addition for them so far. I've liked what I've seen from him. So this secondary is oozing confidence. The offense right now is kind of oozing, let's figure each other out, rather than, yeah, we got this, which is what I think the defense has.
Certainly, those 2 injuries, of course, Isaac Seumalo, who's yet to practice in camp, Broderick Jones, who did dress for the practice, as Mike Tomlin said he'd be back, but he did not participate in the physical drills. I estimate that'll come pretty soon with the way that things were looking for him. But I will say the most impressive part I saw of the offensive line as a collective was the last play of 7 shots, where the defense sent a blitz. They sent heat. They picked it up. Aaron Rodgers had time in the pocket, and that gave D.K. Metcalf time to get loose on a crossing route against Darius Slay. It was a beautiful toe-tapping touchdown I saw right in front of my face, and I was really impressed by that. But again, defense winning most of the day. But we'll get into both of these units in a bit. I want to talk about the offense next, and Aaron Rodgers, who we got a chance to talk to yesterday, and some of the things he said. That'll be next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm Chris Carter. He's Nick Farabaugh. Stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. I'm not a golfer, but I do feel I'm on my game when I go to Top Golf and I'm able to hit that back net with my driver. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Of course, the great ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, I'm Chris Carter with Nick Farabaugh of PennLive.com. We're going to dive right into how Aaron Rodgers answered a question. He was on the Pat McAfee show. There was a lot of stuff there. You can see all those great clips there. But we got a chance to talk with Aaron Rodgers, and this was his response to my question to him during the scrum.
How has the defense helped you guys improve? It seems like they're giving you guys a lot of looks, and you're doing that back. How have you seen you guys' chemistry improve against them?
I mean, they played pretty soft the first 4 days, so it was a lot of checkdowns and different things. But they got a lot of players on that side of the ball. Obviously, we brought in Jalen, got multiple guys that can rush, got a good interior rush, got great linebackers who are multiple, can cover and pressure and fill holes. So, it's going to be a good test for us. I think for any offense that's kind of trying to find their footing, as we are, it's not a bad thing to get beat up a little bit. So if we go out there today and they kind of get after us a little bit, that'll be the best thing for us. So you're not hoping for that because you want to have great practices, but sometimes you can learn more from the failures in training camp than getting after them every single day.
Now, Nick, to Aaron's point, like the offense, like you said, they're oozing. We're trying to figure it out. That's what's going on right now. But I do think that they are learning. I do think they're getting better at certain things, and I think there needs to be a patience for that. I think this offense with an offensive coordinator in his second year with the team, a new quarterback for the third year in a row, or fourth year in a row. Yeah, geez. And then a young offensive line, a lot of new playmakers added to the unit. I think there's a lot that still needs to happen when it comes to the Steelers offense, but I do think they're a work in progress and not a disaster in progress.
No, not necessarily. I think they are a work in progress. I see a lot of areas that can easily be cleaned up. For example, there is a drift route, a drift concept where DK came in on a quick little dig route, slantish route, and he just didn't run it flat enough, and it tipped off his hands. I mean, probably in October, that one is a catch, and DK can take that for a touchdown. I mean, he had brass. Same thing with Jonnu on a seam ball. Rodgers may have thrown it a little high. Jonnu may have not taken it far enough. There's like little things like that. I'll tell you this, Roman Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have negative chemistry right now. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's just a lot of things to work through when you are working with a quarterback that's so detailed like Aaron Rodgers is and has been doing this for literally 2 decades. And so it takes time. And it also takes time for Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers to learn each other. It's not just wide receiver and tight end and running back learning Rodgers. It's also offensive coordinator learning quarterback learning OC. So there's a lot of different things. And remember this, I do think when we talk about offense, a lot of things are so timing based. That's the thing. It's all about timing. And so that is just going to take time. And we are only 1 week into this thing. I mean, literally a week ago, exactly. Chris, they were reporting it's only been 6 practices. So we're at the very early stages of this. Aaron Rodgers has only taken team reps for 6 days. It is a long time until they head to MetLife Stadium. And so I think it is something you can ease caution on right now. Yes, the defense is dominating. Yes, the offense looks out of sorts right now. And yes, you would love to see them clicking on all cylinders and looking like the best team in the NFL. But it's not cause for concern yet. Now, if they look like this, going up into the week of that Jets game, okay, let's alarm the bells. But right now, it's the first padded practice. It's the 6th practice. Let's calm down.
And to your point earlier, you brought up Aaron Rodgers. You were having a lot of complexities to his game. That's just who he's always been. I also think it's fair to say that like this offense is becoming more complex. Like even with guys that have been here, like Pat Freiermuth and Calvin Austin, I think there's, and Jalen Warren too. I think that Arthur Smith is adding a lot of extra wrinkles that haven't been part of their game because they haven't had a quarterback that they've trusted like Aaron Rodgers to do that. And I think you're seeing Darnell Washington run a whole lot of routes that weren't in his route tree before. You're seeing certain concepts where they're lining up with like 3 tight ends and in an empty set, and it's like, what is that formation? I've never seen that before. Like they're doing a lot right now where they're coming out and giving you different looks that you're not normally used to. And I think a lot of it is to give Aaron Rodgers as a decision maker, which is I think his biggest strength right now, is his ability to see, process, and attack the field and the defense. It's going to come with its complexities. And with that, it takes time to get that strength down. But that's why they do these practices all throughout. That's why it's important to keep working on it. That's why you have training camp. And I think that, to your point, it's going to take time for that part of this team to come together, just like it's going to take time for the offensive line to coalesce, even without Broderick Jones and Isaac Seumalo in these past few practices. So to your point, I think that the offense, I feel like the offense is on track. It's hard to see it right now for a lot of people who are watching and thinking, I just want my touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, that is something. I will say they are trying to figure out what they have at wide receiver. That has become very clear to me. Roman Wilson ran with the first team all through the first 4 days. Today was Bobby Trees more than him. And, I talked with Zach Azzani today, Chris, and he basically said, hey, we're going to roll the ball out for guys, If Rock Taylor is a guy that keeps showing stuff, like he had a nice nice catch today, we'll give him more opportunities. We need to find out what we have and if we need to add another guy here. So I do think that position is a little bit different than the others. So, when you're talking about building chemistry, for example, it's a little different. Even for Jonnu Smith, who is going to be used so much, they're making him run with like the third team on some reps just so he gets so many reps. Like he will run sometimes with the first, second, and third team. He legitimately did that, I think, 2 times today, just to get reps. He's still learning the offense. Like that's something that, I think is important to note. And Jalen Ramsey isn't a great comparison because Jalen Ramsey is a gold jacket Hall of Famer. He's going to be a first Hall of Famer. Jonnu is a really good player, but he's not that. And so, that's something to think about too. There's a lot to learn. They're moving more back towards traditional Arthur Smith stuff. I think they're running more wide zone. We're seeing a lot more play action under center. Like we're seeing a lot of traditional stuff that we saw in Tennessee, Atlanta, and then we're seeing some Rodgers stuff, which is the empty, the shotgun, the different things. So it's a melding point. It's like a melting pot almost right now of trying, let's see what works. Let's see what personnels work. Let's see who fits here. Let's see what we need to do here. All of it's coming together. So long time to kind of decide what they want to be, but they're going to figure it out. And this is experimenting with the offense. That's what they're doing right now. With the defense, I feel like they're just putting puzzle pieces together and saying, we have this. We know what we need to do. With the offense, I think it's more of like, what's going to work here? What are we doing here?
They're making the puzzle pieces.
Right. I think Rodgers is also kind of experimenting with himself. How much can he run? Can I still throw it off platform? What can I do 2 years off an Achilles? Like, I still think Rodgers is learning himself a little bit too. So there's just a lot of moving pieces offensively that there aren't defensively.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about that defense, especially the linebackers, because I thought they had a spectacular day when it came to the practice, not just backs on backers, but overall. We'll talk about that next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Nick Farabaugh, stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you, this show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. If you're like me, you probably have a lot of subscriptions and a place to you place a lot of orders online. Over time, that adds up to be a lot of money. Well, with Monarch Money, you can keep a close watch on all that spending in an easy-to-see, organized, and convenient presentation. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year only at Monarch Money. We're back here in the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Nick Farabaugh. As we said before, Payton Wilson, I thought, shined really bright in this practice, the first padded practice. Cole Holcomb also had some really good reps. Patrick Queen, I think, has been very good so far this year. We got a chance to catch up with Patrick Queen after practice. Here was him when we got to talk to him.
It seemed like you were flying to you guys flew to the run a lot today. Even guys like Troy Fautano were giving you guys credit for being strong up front. What do you think you guys are doing well right now that's going to set a better tone this year than it ended last year?
I think everybody just understands the sense of urgency of what happened at the end of the season last year and not letting it happen this year. And it starts right now with everybody being gap sound, just alignment, technique, assignment, taking care of what you're supposed to take care of and not straying away from that. And you see like Joey was coming downhill. Herb was in the backfield a lot. It's just guys all over the field making plays. Payton. This is how you want your defense to play, especially day one. Like I said, it's tough for the offense on day one, but at the same time, you got to give credit to the defense for how we did today, and we got to keep stacking it.
Payton said that the guys that you have out here this year really helping you guys communicate and play faster and fly around. What is it about these guys that's helping you guys think and talk that much faster?
You're talking about as far as players?
Yes.
Yeah, I think just there was a lot of new people on defense last year. Deshaun, me, Payton. I think when you get those kind of guys like going on rotation, you got one in the secondary and one up front. Then sometimes two in the linebacker group. It's kind of tough trying to gel with everybody, get a relationship with everybody. New play calls, trying to get adjusted to coaching. It's just a whole bunch of stuff going on there. I think everything top down. I think it starts to top down. You start from the top and then you work your way down to us. And I think everything is like flawless right now. Explaining the details of the coverages, blitzes, whatever it may be. I think everything is super detailed out. So you got guys who care about football. You got coaches who care about football. So like I said, if it starts from the top down and everybody cares about it right now, it's a great attention to detail right now. So, I mean, if we keep this rolling, this when you get a team like that does like that the whole season, I'm seeing it, everybody's yelling, everybody's always talking outside. It's so much stuff that goes into it. You could talk on and on and on about the small things that go into it.
He's talking about the right things, though. I think that the small things he's talking about, these guys are communicating. They're playing fast. Payton Wilson, I played this clip on our show yesterday, but he said, like, I think he talked about having the right guys. And he says, like, from the D line to the linebackers to the secondary, they're connecting. And they're connecting on and off the field. Their flow is making a lot of sense, and I think that's helping this defense play as well as it is now. And to Patrick Queen's point, if this is the baseline, if what we're seeing in these practices right now, and make no mistake, like they're being aggressive, like you said, they're throwing blitzes in there that we did not see last year. If this is the baseline and they go up from here throughout the season and they don't suffer any major injuries, this defense could be really tough.
It's a really good unit, man. I mean, listen, PQ needs to find more consistency, but a more downhill aggressive scheme is where he's at home. He was at his best in the Mike McDonald's scheme. That's, I think, what they want to try to emulate a little bit here, try to get him blitzing more. He's an exceptional blitzer. So use his athleticism a little more like that. Payton Wilson, I think, just looks more comfortable in general. It's not his rookie year anymore. He knows the defense. He's processing at a better speed. The game looks slower for him. And then you get Cole Holcomb back, and that's another boon to you, right? He's moving well in space. Like, Cole is looking pretty good coming off a major knee injury, what could have been career-ending. And he looks pretty solid, to be quite honest with you. And Malik Hammerson's going to be, he's going to be your nail, essentially. He's going to be your hammer coming down. And that's really what it is. It's a good unit, and it's a unit that has different styles that can kind of fit together, I think.
I thought it sounded like for a second you called him Malik Hammerson, and I'm like, if you just made that up, that's a great nickname for that man, because he brings the hammer.
Malik Hammerson is what I'm going to call him from now on. And I will say I did create that. I did, but
you did just now.
Thanks.
This is fantastic. TM. That's Nick Farabaugh's. And I will say in the reps, I know some people are going to ask about the running backs. Caleb Johnson did not have a particularly good day, but not because he stunk. I think Malik Harrison is just a big individual. He's a veteran. And I think this was Caleb Johnson's hey, welcome to the NFL, buddy, type of moments. And this is what you want to do. You want to have those moments here in training camp where you're like, man, I got to get so much better. Not in week 1 or week 5 or week 10 when you're like, oh man, I have not been prepared for this at all. Malik Harrison, 3 straight reps, won. But I think the thing about Caleb Johnson that I really liked was his spirit. After he lost the 2 reps, and lost them soundly, like it was not a debate. He was like, no, let's go again. He wanted another one. And Malik Harrison, all 3 times, got his hands inside of Caleb Johnson. I think that's going to be the biggest thing because Eddie Faulkner, even afterwards, was like, hey, hands inside. Got to get your press up in here. That's something that has to happen. But again, it's going to take time to do that. He didn't do that a lot at Iowa. That was not what they asked him for. His job was to run the football. And so stuff like that, this line. But again, if Malik Harrison is doing that and he's winning and he's the 4th linebacker on this team, and Mark Robinson, as you talked about, was a human missile, man, this linebacker unit could be maybe the best in the NFL as far as depth-wise. Yeah,
it could be. And here's the thing. I mean, I think the Steelers kind of built this inside linebacker room to withstand injuries, and I think they have. I think they were scarred by 2 years ago when Cole Holcomb and Quan Alexander got hurt, and they were left with a misfit island of toys with Landon Roberts along. So, I think that's kind of what they built this to be, and so good for them. I think that's kind of what they needed to do. And you mentioned Caleb Johnson, man. Better to learn against Malik Harrison than Jamin Sherwood week one. That truly is. So, we'll see if he can take that leap. If he doesn't, they got Jalen Warren. So, there's also not a ton of pressure for Caleb to learn it this year. He can make it a year-long project in terms of his development. But this inside linebacker room is going to test people. I think the real question is going to be, when we see them in coverage tomorrow, that's going to be interesting. I think that'll be interesting because if there's going to be a pitfall of this inside linebacker room, I think it's going to be the processing side of things because PQ is a guy that kind of see ball, go get ball. Payton's kind of the similar way. And last year, that was a big issue for them was they were just out of gaps every now and then, and the play action stuff was big. But in coverage, I just am really curious to see how good Payton Wilson is this year. I know PQ is going to bring it. And I'm really curious to see how Cole Holcomb moves in space. I think that's a really big test for him. This year he's kind of looked good. He can move sideline to sideline. He can still move well. But I'm interested to see how he goes in space and how he is in man-to-man. So there's a lot to learn from tomorrow about this inside linebacker room. But, man, no doubt about it. What a talented room and can be a really good room on top of the very good secondary and very good defensive line.
Absolutely. And when he says tomorrow, he means today because this is the Thursday episode. That's going to be day 7 of Steelers training camp. We'll both be there. Get all of Nick Farabaugh's work at PennLive.com. He does a great job there. That's why we love having him on this show all the time. Nick, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for joining us here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, wherever you get your social medias. It's at Carter Critiques every single time. You can read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com, including my update on the top 5 training camp battles I've had my eyes on and where I see those standing right now. Go to check that out, post-gazette.com. Just like you check out the Locked On Steelers podcast every day, Monday through Friday, breaking down your Pittsburgh Steelers on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to this channel to get all of our daily Monday through Friday episodes. Back here tomorrow, recapping more of Steelers training camp right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.